Let's get into our Week 14 NFL recap. I am reeling from last night's Eagles loss to the Chargers, but I got to take my lumps today, and here we go. We're starting off with the Cowboys and Lions, where I said, you know, give me the Lions. I said I thought they were going to come out. I thought they were going to play well at home. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I thought their defense was going to be able to make more plays. That's exactly what happened. Now, before I go any further, let me set the record straight that I did this week only go 7-7 in the money line. That puts me at 142-65 on the year in money line, which was 3 games better than last year at this time in the money line. In best bets, we went 3 for 5. Hit the Jags plus 1.5 pretty easily against the Colts. Bengals felt like that was an easy cover until Buffalo made it difficult, but they got it done at plus 5.5. We also hit the Texans plus 3.5. We should have had a 4 or 5 week. Denver cover or Vegas covering the 7.5 against Denver was just outright, as Dave Portnoy said at Barstool Prison. That was the worst backdoor cover I've ever seen. And then the Bears, we had a shot at plus 6.5. Caleb Williams first the pick in the end zone at the end of the game. We'll get to it, but we had a good week. We are now 40-70 on the year in best bets. Underdogs once again covering. You look at this week, either winning outright or covering. We add Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, so that's 4. New Orleans is 5. Then you add Vegas covering 6. You add Houston covering 7. You add Philly with 8. So again, 8, or the Chargers beating Philly, I should say. You had 8 underdogs win or cover outright. Only 6 favorites um, covered their side of the spread. So there you go. I've said it. I think underdogs have been the play the last few weeks. For the Titans and the Browns, an embarrassing performance for the Browns. I have no idea why they decided to not put Shedeur Sanders out there on the 2 point conversion. Shedeur Sanders, I thought outplayed Cam Ward. Yes, he had a bad interception. And yes, he has to learn that this is not college football the way Caleb Williams learned last year and was running around for his life. I think that the biggest thing Shedeur Sanders has to learn is when the play is over to let the play just collapse, that sometimes the defense wins the down. But you could see some flashes. I mean, the Browns were at least getting the football down the field. Shedeur Sanders threw for almost 400 yards, including what should have been the game-tying touchdown if they would have let Shedeur Sanders go for 2. I don't know if the Browns buzzed down somehow or Kevin Stefanski decided, oh, we cannot win this game. But from what I've seen out of the Browns, and I know everybody wants Fernando Mendoza, and we'll talk about Fernando Mendoza, and I get it. Though I don't think the Browns are going to be in position to get him because I think there's going to be a couple teams like the Jets who are going to be in position to get him. Maybe the Saints believe in Tyler Shuck, or maybe they just decide to go with Fernando Mendoza. But I think the Browns next year should build around Shedeur Sanders. There's a reason why I said Shedeur Sanders should have started week 1. Now I get it. He did play against a beat up Niners defense, a terrible Raiders defense, and a terrible Titans defense. Next week will be a witness test when he goes on the road against Chicago. But that kid's got moxie, he's got toughness, and that Browns locker room believes in Shedeur Sanders. How about the Steelers? I probably should have bet them plus 5.5, though I didn't know how this game was going to go. I mean, the Steelers could have stopped the run all year. I thought there was a game for the Ravens to get back on track in the run game. It should have been this one. Lamar Jackson, though, does not look the same. He ran a little bit more in this game, though. Again, he just does not look as explosive as he used to. The defense gave him a lot of big plays, whether it was to Jaylen Warren on some swing passes, Kenneth Gainwell on tosses. Obviously, DK Metcalf, the first play of the game, that he had to go out. The last series of the game, with Baltimore down 5, regardless, I thought the Isaiah Likely should have been a touchdown call. But regardless of that, the Ravens were down 5 with 2 minutes left with a chance to get the ball, and they moved about 8 yards with about 30 seconds left in the game. It was an abomination of clock management. Baltimore does not look the same. They can still not get Derrick Henry going. And for this Ravens team, this does look like the season from hell. and they have a hellish schedule coming up, including at Cincinnati. Then they have to go to Green Bay before playing New England at home in week 16, at Green Bay week 17, and then at Pittsburgh week 18. So they only have one home game remaining, and it looks like a year where the Ravens, a lot of people thought it was going to be the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs. There is still a world out there, folks, where all three of those, who are the three heavy favorites in the AFC coming into the year, don't make the postseason. Speaking of the Bengals, the Steelers aren't going to go 8-9. They'll finish 9-8. So this was the season for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow got picked off on back-to-back passes. One on a run award where he tried to throw it to Jamar Chase, and Bedford made an incredible play for a pick six. His next pass was batted up in the air, completely changed the game. But for Buffalo, this was a 39-34 shootout in the snow. They were behind the whole game. It reminded me of the week one game against the Ravens, where Josh Allen had to put a Superman cape on, make an incredible comeback. And it's a great win for Buffalo, and it keeps them within striking distance of the Patriots, though they do have to go into Foxborough this week with New England coming off a bye and win that game. But I know everybody's saying, oh, if the Bills get in and the Ravens aren't in or the Chiefs get in, the Bills should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl because they have Josh Allen and everybody else going to have Drake May and Bo Nix and maybe old Aaron Rodgers. But I look at this Buffalo team. I still don't think they stopped the run very well. I still don't think their defense has done very well. Cincinnati has moved the ball up and down the field on him. It's just Josh Allen was out of his world on Sunday. That's the only reason why the Bills won that game. And I don't know if Josh Allen can be Superman for 4 straight weeks. Okay, unfortunately for Colts fans who are off to such a great start, yeah, the number one seed in reach. But they just reminded me a lot of that Titans team with Ryan Tannehill, who started off like 9 or 8-3 and finished 8-9. That's what this Colts team is going to do. They are trying out Philip Rivers at 44 years old, a quarterback. That's how desperate they are. They clearly don't believe in Riley Leonard, the quarterback out of Notre Dame, who last year played in the national championship game. And now this year, maybe replaced in the Colts lineup by Philip Rivers, who may reset his potential Hall of Fame clock. Think about that. So, unfortunately, what happened to Daniel Jones? But I think they know they're screwed. The Jaguars are playing their best football of the season, and so are the Houston Texans. And it looks like it's down to those two teams competing for not only a playoff spot at this point, but the AFC South title. Okay, Dolphins beat the Jets. Yes, the Dolphins are 6-7. Nobody believes they're a real playoff team. The Jets brought in this kid named Cook. It's whatever. Seahawks at the Falcons. Seattle was 6-6 at the half. They put on their mojo in the second half. They completely destroyed Kirk Cousins and that offense in the second half. Seattle looks like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Sam Darnold played better in the second half. I'm still worried about Sam Darnold when he actually goes against good teams. Again, another first half struggle for the Seahawks. But the Falcons, for this team who thought last year they had Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix in the QB room and they were in an easy NFC South division, and Raheem Morris was going to come back and they were going to have a chance to compete in this division for years to come. They may need a complete reset. That culture is broken. I'm not even sure Raheem Morris survives the year there in Atlanta. And then I know the Saints and Bucs are rivals, but come on. Tampa Bay, I know that they were without Mike Evans, but they still had Chris Godwin. They still had Emeka Buka, who had some bad drops in this game. Yes, it was a rain game, but Tampa never took control of this game. And I thought Tampa had complete control of the Arizona game. Maybe the Arizona game was a sign this Tampa Bay team is not as good as we all think. Because the Saints went in there on the road. Tyler Shuck played well. Tampa Bay did not force any turnovers. Todd Bowles did not unleash his defense on the Saints. And the Saints' kryptonite over the Tampa Bay Buccaneer franchise continues. A lot of people had the Bucs and the Browns in Survivor this week. Let me put it to you that way. And a lot of those guys, it just did not work out. It was a bad week to be a survivor. Jane Daniels comes out for the Commanders. J.J. McCarthy plays great. The best game easily of his career. I don't know what happened to the Commanders. Shane Daniels got hurt again. They may want to think about shutting him down for the rest of the year because it's just not worth it. They get shut out by the Vikings now. They go to the Giants coming off a the Giants are going off a bye, yes, and getting embarrassed by the Patriots. These two teams are going in completely different directions since week one. The Giants now believe they do have a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. Washington's franchise quarterback has been hurt all year in Jaden Daniels. I think the Commanders are going to be embarrassed. I think they'll probably come back. They'll probably beat the Giants. It's going to be, I would imagine, a small spread. I would think it's probably going to be one of my best bets of the week. Denver at Vegas. Listen, Vegas somehow covered the 7.5. You did not see it. The Broncos were up 10 at the Vegas 20 on 4th and 3. The Raiders had no timeouts. The game was over. They could have kicked a field goal, went up 13. Sean Payton decides to run it with RJ Harvey. He does not get it. At this point, Geno Smith is knocked out of the game. Kenny Pickett comes into the game. He throws a pass for 20 yards with about 12 seconds left inbounds. They call a delay a game on the or the Broncos defender for laying down on the Raider receiver. It's a 5 yard penalty. The Raiders decide to kick a 50-yard field goal with Daniel Carlson. He makes it to cover the 7.5 or the 8.5, whichever side you got for Denver. It also hit the over if you were betting the under in that game. It was a mess, but the Broncos clearly knew they were better than the Raiders. Obviously, they faced off 4 weeks ago in that abomination of a Thursday night football game. Denver just ran the ball and said, we're going to take care of business and we're going to get out of here. The Rams, they beat the hell out of Arizona. Was not trying to defend Jonathan Gannon. I thought Jonathan Gannon was a good coach. I don't know anymore. Arizona is getting blasted. They feel like they have no fight left in them. Jacoby Brissett gave them a little bit of a spark, not anymore. And now Arizona's got a lot of decisions to make come this offseason. They may be one of the most interesting teams in the offseason. The Rams are obviously a Super Bowl contender. Big game against the Lions this week, 4:25 Eastern on Fox. But for Arizona, this season looks so promising out of the beginning. They beat the Saints, they beat the Panthers, they start 2-0, and they are now currently at 3-10. So they're one for their last 10. Michael Wilson's been the lone bright spot with Marvin Harrison being out. He has stepped up. Again, they have Harrison, they have Michael Wilson, they have McBride. They're going to have James Conner coming back, which his injury is what really felt like, in my opinion, deflated this team. They got some talent on the defense side of the ball. We'll just see if a new coach, maybe a new quarterback, something's going to breathe life into that franchise. Now, the Packers. Jordan Love, excuse me, Jordan Love played really well in that game against the Bears on Sunday. Probably his best game of the entire year. Caleb Williams only had 11 yards in the first half, and yet the Bears were still in this game in the second half. I thought it was a very encouraging time for Chicago. They were going to run the ball, and I said, you know what's in the Bears? They could cover, but Green Bay could cover by a touchdown. This is a rivalry game. I thought both teams were going to play really well. I thought it was coming down to the last possession, which it did. In my opinion, though, the game that will really decide the division comes down to the Week 16 game in Chicago. I think the winner of that game will win the NFC North. And crazy enough, I think the loser of that game could be the 7th seed of the NFC playoffs, and the winner, you can make an argument, could be the number 1 seed. That's going to be a huge game. Again, I thought the Bears, they showed their ability to be tough. Monungai was running the football. They really started to figure out the Packers' defense in the second half. Jordan Love made one bigger play to Christian Watson than Caleb Williams could at the end of the game, and that's what it comes down to. Now the Chiefs. They are just going for Super Bowl loser hangover syndrome at this point. I mean, the Texans offense could not do anything in the second half. The Chiefs defense was trying to save the season. And CJ Stroud, I mean, with that Houston Texans defense, which is a Super Bowl caliber defense, they could not move the ball 1 inch against the Chiefs in the second half. But they were up 10-0 because he made some incredible plays outside the pocket in that first half. And the Chiefs, let's call it what it is. Rashid Rice drops that fourth down. Yes, it was a reckless decision by Andy Reid. I would have not gone for it, but the bottom line is Rashid Rice drops it. Travis Kelce, ball a lot like Dallas Goedert last night, right? Ball goes right off his fingertips, it's popped up in the air, it's intercepted. Patrick Mahomes completes less than 50% of his passes. And the thing is with the Chiefs, right? They had an all-time great run, the second greatest run of the history of the NFL, right behind Bill Belichick's New England Patriots. The difference with this Patriots dynasty and this Chiefs dynasty, I believe, is the AFC West, unlike the AFC East, where the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins could never get their act together for 20 years somehow. The Chargers and Broncos got their act together, and all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers are knocking at their door. Sean Payton in Denver is knocking at their door. Denver, with a quarterback on a rookie contract, has paid the hell out of their defense. Sean Payton is getting the most out of their offense. Their defense is Super Bowl caliber. And all of a sudden, Kansas City paid Patrick Mahomes all that money, and Chris Jones all that money, and Travis Kelce all that money. Well, now they're not getting contributions in the defense side of the ball from young guys. The offensive playmakers are not stepping up. Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice when they need to. Travis Kelce needs to shake it off with his fiance and just go retire. Reminds me a lot of Jason Kelce at the end. And believe it or not, I think Jason Kelce right now looks to be in better shape as an offensive lineman than Travis Kelce does as a tight end. Travis does not look the same. He looks disinterested. He looks distracted, in my opinion. Mahomes is being a one-man show. And the one thing about Patrick Mahomes now that will ding his legacy, going into last year, people said if Patrick Mahomes pulls off the three-peat, he may be the GOAT over Tom Brady because Tom Brady never even got to three straight Super Bowls. What a one Patrick Mahomes did. Well, guess what? Patrick Mahomes is different than Tom Brady because Tom Brady, in his prime, he obviously missed it in 2002 coming off the Super Bowl. But that was before he was Tom Brady. That was right after the magic carpet ride of the 2001 season when he replaced Drew Bledsoe. Could we ever imagine Tom Brady in his prime missing the playoffs or losing the division? That answer is no, it never happened, and that's what will make Tom Brady, in my opinion, the New England run always better than the Kansas City run. Of course, he did win as a wild card in Tampa. They did not win their division, but I'm just talking about New England Brady in his prime against Kansas City Mahomes. You can now definitively say New England's Brady had a better run. And then Jalen Hurts had the worst game of his career, wasn't I? I'm just going to call it. I don't know if it's Kevin Patullo. I don't know what it is. The route structure isn't good. Every time the Eagles get a positive play, it seems like there is a penalty. Multiple chances for the Eagles to win this game, including in overtime. Saquon Barkley picks the wrong and oh my God, it could have been a touchdown the first play of overtime. Jalen Hurts makes a risky for the Dallas Goedert. It's batted up in the air. It's intercepted. It is what it is. My Eagles lose three in a row. They are now 8-5. The number one seed is seemingly out of reach. The good news is I think the two seed is potentially right there, the same it was last year when we won the Super Bowl. And yeah, there is a little bit of a Super Bowl winner's hangover right now. The good news is the defensive line absolutely played their ass off. The defense played their ass off. The offense did not own up their end of the bargain. They are literally playing like this year's Chiefs, where it's just the defense is good. They can't get a stop though when they absolutely need to. I mean, Cam Dicker did kick 5 field goals last night, including a 54-yarder in overtime. Jalen Hurts made a great throw to A.J. Brown that could not be hauled in. It was a great play by the defensive back. I'm not blaming A.J. Brown, but that would have decided the game. You add again, the Eagles were driving. At that point, Jalen Hurts, if he throws that ball away, the Eagles are almost to win that game. But the Eagles had 5 turnovers. The Chargers had what, 3? It was a game where we had 3 turnovers in one play. It was a weird game, but the defensive line, even without Jalen Carter, came to play. And the Eagles went through this gauntlet of the schedule. Now they got the Raiders next week, and you would think going up against that Raiders offensive line, it may be Kenny Pickett. We thought it was going to be the Chip Kelly revenge game. It may be the Kenny Pickett game where he comes back to Philadelphia. You have the Commanders twice who may or may not play Jaden Daniels or may not quit. And then you have Buffalo in week 17. And in my opinion, the Eagles can run the ball on Buffalo. The question is, can the defense stop Josh Allen enough? So the opportunity is still there. Yes, you lost 3 in a row. The Raiders game next week, in my opinion, is a tell-all. And for the Chargers, Justin Herbert gutted it out. Big win, big ability to run with his legs. Justin Herbert hurt the Eagles last night more with his legs than he did with his arm. And Jim Harbaugh just finds a way to win these games. And the Chargers, Chiefs, and Bills, to me, 3 teams battling for 2 spots. And with that Charger win last night, that dampens the Chiefs' hopes for the playoffs tremendously.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.